Good morning and welcome everybody to the Global Rivers in the Anthropocene seminars organized by the Environmental Science Graduate Program CIAMB of the Federal University of Goiás. Today's talk is the evolution of the world's major rivers and deltas, how artificial intelligence can help us to forecast the futures, by Professor Paul Liu. Thank you, Paul, for accepting our invitation and being part of our Global Rivers in the Anthropocene seminars. By the way, Paul arrived a couple of hours ago in Japan, flying from the US. So for sure, he's very, very, very tired, but is participating anyway of this seminar. So thank you for all your effort. But please allow me to introduce Dr. Paul Liu. Paul is a full professor in the Department of Marine, Earth, and Atmospheric Science at North Carolina State University. He also serves as the Director of International Affairs at the College of Science. Dr. Liu received his PhD from the College of William and Mary in 2001, working under the supervision of Dr. Sean Milliman. Since then, he has conducted extensive research on source-to-sink processes in many of the world's major rivers. He has been working also a lot in Asian rivers, including the Yellow, the Yangtze, and Pearl rivers in China, the Chaushui River in Taiwan, the Red and Mekong rivers in Vietnam, the Chao Phraya in Thailand, the Irrawaddy and Salween in Myanmar, the Indus in Pakistan, now the Nile in Egypt. Beyond such a remarkable work and scientific production, I want to highlight that Paul is also a great human being, and I'm very grateful for his friendship. I would like to remark on one of the initiatives Paul had a few years ago during the difficult time of the COVID-19 pandemic. He was a kind of lighthouse for the fluvial community. He came up with a great idea and organized it and hosted over 120 source-to-sink webinars. It was a terrific initiative. I was part of one of these talks. So thank you, Paul, for such an incredible initiative. It was great and helped a lot, all of us, in such difficult times. Regarding research, in recent years, Dr. Liu has focused on the application of artificial intelligence, machine learning, large language models in geoscience. He has led and contributed to several initiatives, including the Ocean Artificial Intelligence, Ocean GPT, and Rewriting Artificial Intelligence. Before we start, some information for the participants. Thank you all of you for participating in our seminars. We will have now more or less 40 minutes Paul's talk. You can't answer the direct question to him, so you have to write your questions. So please, you have the comments and so on, write your questions. So we are going to transfer the question to Paul, and we can use at the end of the talk some minutes for discussion. So please, Paul, go ahead. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Edgar, my friend. Thank you for your invitation and thank you for your introduction. And let's put a presentation mode. So can you see my screen, the PowerPoint in presentation mode? Can you hear me?
Yes, it's okay. Perfect.
I just want to make sure everything is fine before we move forward. Okay, okay?
Perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, great. Thank you again. This is my great honor. Come here to give a presentation in the global rivers in the answer person talk series. Today, I will talk about world major river and deltas, particularly focus on how artificial intelligence can help us to forecast their futures. As our friend just introduced, and my name is Paul from North Carolina State University. And today I have the talk. It's a 3 parts. First, I will talk a little bit. It's a historical sediment flux and the source part, including the water discharge. Then talk about how those the impact to the shoreline change. Then we talk about the sink part and how the sediment distribution after they deliver to the ocean. Second part is how the machine learning, the AI, can help us for the future shoreline and land use predictions. And third part, if we have a little bit of time, depending on how much time left, we talk a little bit of the large language model application in oceanographic field. Okay, when we talk about the sediment flux and how much coming down from the world rivers. So a decade ago, John Mellerman, my PhD advisor, published this book. And in the book clearly mentioned, as you can see here, and the global river deliver about 19 billion tons sediment per year to the ocean, or simply we can see about 19 gigatons. But among that, as you can see, the big arrow here, about 70% actually in Asia and oceanic area. So this is the reason today you may hear me talk about a lot about the Yangtze, the Yellow, and the Mekong, Irrawaddy, etc. So this is in the last 20 decades, as Edgardo just mentioned. I systematically studied the Yellow River derived sediment to the sea, the Yangtze, around Taiwan. This is the year I conduct or lead the research cruise, like the Pearl River and the Red River in Gulf Tonkin, the Mekong. I have 4 research cruises offshore Mekong. 2017, I also have an animacy study, the Irrawaddy River Delta. And 2 years ago, I got a chance to join the summer research cruise offshore near the Greenland, actually not really offshore, in field, study the melting of the glacial sediment discharge to the ocean. And most recently, we focused on the Indus River and the Nile River Delta. So let's look at it very quickly. For example, like the Yellow River. So back to 1950, 1960, as you can see, the Yellow River delivered more than 1,500 million tons sediment. But as you can see, gradually decreased. 2016 is only about 10 million tons. 17, only less than 10 million tons. As you can see, from more than 1,000 to just a single digit. That's the unbelievably decreasing the sediment. And Yangtze is the largest river in China. And as you can see, the water discharge roughly is up and down. But the red color means the sediment discharge, the dash line. You can see back to 1960, still more than 500 million tons. But now it's only about 100 million tons. In 2018, is even less, 100 is only 80 million tons, because 2003, that's the time of the Three Gorges Dam was built. And so look at the third largest river, the Pearl River in China. And as you can see, 1960, 70 to even to 1980, still about 100 million ton sediment delivered to the ocean. But now it's only about 20 million tons. So over that river basin, there's 14,000 dams. So there's no surprising, as you can see, 2018 also decreased to only 10 million tons. And so our colleague, Dr. Wu, also analyzed the 9 river basin across the whole China. And as you can see, there's a sharply decreasing overall. And let's move to Vietnam, a little bit south. In Vietnam, this is the Red River, Song Hong River Basin. And so as you can see, before 1985, the Red River delivered more than 100, about 115 million ton sediment to the sea. But gradually now is only about 2008 is less than 40 million tons. And this is also about 60 to 70% reduction. But look at the most recent years. This is ended 2008. And now if from 2008, look at the most recent years. Most in recent years, the Red River deliver is only about 10 million ton sediment. From 100 million tons to 10, this is 90% reduction. And so let's look at the Mekong. So the Mekong River Basin, there's extensively building the dams. This is existing and planned reservoir or dams over the river basin. So in the upper reach, on the upper reach, mainly in the China. And so as you can see, the upper reach used to be deliver 50 million ton sediment. Then after 94-3, then it's reduced to 17. In the middle reach, similar from 100 to 20 million tons. In the down reach, this is what we are more concerned because how much sediment will reach to the ocean. Downstream, as you can see, before 2000 is roughly about 100 million tons. Even 1960 reached 160 million tons. But after year 2000, you can see only about 22 million tons. But the challenge is this is only around 20 million ton sediment reached to the delta. But on the delta, every year there's about 40 to 50 million tons sediment was kind of about sand mining was removed. So overall, that river is lost the balance. And actually, our studies show even some mud sediment even pump back from the shelf into the estuary on the shelf on the delta. So let's move to a little bit further to Thailand. So this is Chophia River. As you can see, this is the water discharge, the blue line, the red dash line sediment used to be a 60 million tons, but now there's even a bunch of water still there, but there's no sediment really delivered to the ocean by the Chophia River Delta. So let's look at 2 other rivers in India. The Godavari River here, as you can see, water like the Yangtze, and the sediment used to be 1960, 70, 200 million tons, but now it's less than 30 million tons. Krishna, this is also flow from the west to the east. Krishna, as you can see, sediment, just no sediment discharge to the ocean. And let's further move to the west to Pakistan. In Pakistan, the Indus River, is no flow to the ocean. As we know, the current issues, even upstream, there's more control. The sediment, look at the sediment. Of course, there's no water, there's no sediment discharge. And so overall, there's at least 25 major dams. And look at the most recent data of the water, the discharge is up and down, but overall is still no flow, no discharge. And if you look a little bit further of the Nile, and since the Aswan Dam, high Aswan, that in 1964, as you can see, the water decreased, but still keep flowing. But the sediment sharply decreased almost from the 100 million tons to 0 to the ocean. So this table shows clearly the relationship. As you can see, from 1965, the sediment flow into the Aswan Dam reservoir is around 100 million tons. But the outflow is just a single digit, and it's almost nothing really reach to the coast. And I can 2 years ago, and I was there able to visit the river mouth, over there, as you can see. So I just want to point out to you, as you can see, this is the Nile River. You see how clear of the water. Look at the water and how they try to protect the real mouth, the shoreline over there. This is my PhD student from Alexandria University. So let's zoom in this area. Look at the Nile River. How clean the water. You know, the water even cleaner than most of the reservoir people for the city water supply. You know, can you believe this is the reason, exactly the reason, as mentioned, there's no sediment really reach to the sea. This is unbelievable. What human did is unbelievable. And as a result, inside the reservoir, high Aswan Dam behind. So that form a human-made triggered, not human-made, but is still naturally formed, but not in the ocean, but in the reservoir, the delta, subaqueous delta, as you can see, progradation. So it's mainly the delta is located here. If you look at this one show you clearly the progradation of the, 1964 and 1977, 1999, 2007, 10, 9, 8, you see the progradation. And this is fantastic. I really hope we have some collaboration. We can go there, like what we studied, the marine delta. We can do some bottom profile, understand this pretty new deltic deposits inside the reservoir. And back to U.S. and in Colorado River, last year, I was able to go out and use the chip. This is me trying to put together a baby chip from EdTech. As you can see, we can drag that our subbottom behind a boat. We can get beautifully the sediment formed, accumulated after the reservoir built up in the 1960s. As you can see, similarly to the Nile, there is a deltic deposit formed behind the reservoir. So everything is a balance. If you trap the sediment behind your dam in the reservoir, at the coast, clearly you're missing that portion. You lost the balance. So if we put all of this together in a globally a big view, all the way from the yellow, from the Yangtze, from the Pearl, from the red, from Mekong, Chofia, Irrawaddy, Ganges, Brahmaputra, Godavari, Krishna, Indus River, Danube, Nile, Shat Araba, Colorado. As you can see, the Colorado, of course, there's nothing. This is just exactly like the Nile. There's no sediment really reach to the ocean. We all know how American control the water, just maybe like an Indian control the Indus River. And so let's say the Mississippi River and the Yukon River and the Mackenzie. But the thing is, I really want to point out my friend from Brazil. Look at Amazon. Amazon, based on my statistics, the water discharge actually increased a little bit, similar like particularly Madagalena. I know it's very dangerous for me to say this because, and I have so many colleagues, friends in the audience study those rivers. So, but you can see the water discharge per annum is also increased. That's a comparison north-south. That could be something very interesting global perspective. And as I mentioned, I only been Amazon once. So 11 years ago, when we had big river world, large river conference in Manaus. So we have a little bit field work. As you can see, the dark water, the brownish, the turbid water, the joint together. And also this is from that conference site to the top of building. Look at how massive, how big of the Amazon over there. It's unbelievable. I really hope one day we can come back. We can conduct some joint study of the Amazon shoreline and the coastal deltic deposits. And if, for example, the Amazon, and as you know well, there's some dams is on plan and existing one and some more coming. So our friend Dr. Tribulus and Tribulus has already published a wonderful work in Nature 2017. Gosh, I believe this is already 8 years. And as you can see, post the dam, the concentration is really decreasing. And the question is how this affect our Amazon the shoreline. And I will mention a couple slides later. But overall, if we put all the global perspective together, as you can see in East Asia, and from 1950 is keep steadily decreasing. And similar like South Asia, South is orange color, also decreasing. And the South America, you know, we don't have too many sedimented data, but overall it's not that dramatic, but we need more work. And so that's together with the population increase, the global, and also the number of the dams. So our friend Jaswitsky, you know, mentioned in the last 60 years, so almost only 50% of the fluvial sediment reached to the ocean. And even also compare a little bit of the north west south. The north contribute about also roughly 0.5%, and also south actually increases some a little bit. So that's interesting for them together. So the next thing is we know how much changed in the last 50, 60 years globally, the large river system, as I just mentioned to you. But how the shoreline responds to those reduction? And of course, sediment reduction is not only factor. Sea level also keep rising. Now, you know, we used to tour is only 3 millimeters per year, but now 4, 5, and at least I think 4 to 5 millimeters. And so also subsidence and storm also as a change. Let's quick look at of the couple samples, like Mekong in Vietnam is an example. Mekong is the largest river delta in the South Asia, and in the past 6,000 years, that delta progressed at least 30 meters per year to the ocean. But if you look at it now, this is the shoreline feature. The red signify this is just the erosion, and the blue is kind of a little bit a creation. And we do a little bit analysis indicate since 2005, as you can see, overall that delta from the constructive phase to a destructive, because we begin to get a negative gain of the land. So as you can see here, this is 1950, the shoreline, 1965, the blue line, and the red is 2015. I see the dramatic change. But how about the most recent years? So this is 1985, year 2000, 2015, 24. As you can see, in the last about 40 years, so the shoreline retreat 1,200 meters. So per year, the shoreline on average now retreat 30 meters per year. Compare the long-term last 6,000 years, the delta progress is 30 years. But now, I mean, in the last 50 or 60 years, it's kind of a retreat about 30 meters per year. That's just, as we said, from the constructive phase turn to a destructive phase. And you look at the delta. So that's not a gluing or healthy delta. And so not only the shoreline change, our work in the offshore on the continental shelf also indicate, for example, these two profile, we also indicate that, you know, there's erosional trough already formed. So actually the delta is not only the shoreline change, but underwater portion is also dramatic change. But of course, as I mentioned, the delta also experiences around 4 centimeters per year subsidence rate, for example, like here. And we also use our data found a similar rate about this area. And the even worse situation, now they try to build a new canal, divert the water flow directly to the Gulf of Thailand in Cambodia. I think they will make the delta even danger. And so look at the Bangkok in Chofia River. The Bangkok, because the subsidence, some portion of the city already elevation below the current sea level. So look at the shoreline change from 1950 to 2010. As you can see, dramatic change. And this it's on average at least 5 meters per year. But look, the most recent year from 1987, 97, 2007, 17, this is up to 20 to 30 meters retreating per year. So that's the situation. Irrawaddy, and overall that delta is not lost that much, but also not growing. So we put it all together, we see, as you can see, the result is only negative 0.6 meters per year compared to 20 or 30 of other major deltas. So that means the delta is stopped growing. Even the similar amount of sediment still keep coming down here. And so what we found, as you can see, that kind of still some spots have a dramatic change. But for example, here from the last 40 years, there's still about nearly 300, almost 400 meters retreat. But the thing I want to point out, this is a mangrove focused on this area. This is 1974. And if you look at here, 2000, how much reduced. Then to 17, even less. So there's 80% of the mangrove of those delta lost, and used to be more than 700 square kilometers, but now less than 100 square kilometers. And many area was kind of human and turned to a farmland, turned to a shrimp pond and others. So human really modify the landscape. Okay, now let's move further into the Pakistan Indus Delta. It's the largest delta, we all know that. But we compare the shoreline from 1972 to 2022, that's 50 years, use the historical set of the images. The pink color is the 72, the green color is the year 2022, as you see the dramatic change. Let's look at the number. So this is the red indicates some portion as a retreat. The blue is accretion, and then we put them together as a majority in the last 50 years, and is a kind of under erosion. Some spot is keep growing, but overall, we put the data together from 1970 to 2022. The delta actually lost 300 square kilometers land. 300 square kilometer land is a lot. And so as you can see, since 2002, there's a sharply increased. One of the reasons we think this is 12 of those 39 dams built after that. And so that's some connection. The future of the Indus Delta is not optimistic, plus the subsiding sea level rising and the erosion. So we put together a comparison of the Indus River Delta, Yellow, and the Nile. So let's look a little bit. So before we jump to that, so the Amazon. So let's look at the Amazon. We know based on the Edgardo, the work, so with the sediment concentration already decreasing, but how the shoreline responds to that. I'm pretty sure there's many work already done that, but I'll just take a quick look of this area. As you can see in this point, the North Bank. So since 1985, compare now, this is 40 years. So this retreat more than 800 meters. So each year there's about 20 meters. And so in the south, it's similarly more than 700 meters from compared 1985 to now. So that's also, I hope we can do some more systematic shoreline analysis like what we did in Asia. And so this is the mud bank. You extend all the way to the Irrawaddy, to the Orinoco. So as you can see, that's maybe reflected the reality. So now we go very quickly. So those large rivers, after they deliver to the ocean, where the sediment go? So for example, the Yellow River. The Yellow River, the sediment not only near the delta, but extended 700 kilometers away along the shelf, form a distal depot center. This is the term we first emphasized, a large river derived sediment. But look at this. This is the river mouth. This is the delta, and go all the way 700 kilometers, then form that distal depot center. And so if you look at the Yangtze, Yangtze, after 2003, the three-gorge dam, as you can see near the river mouth, this area has become very destructive. It's under strong erosion, even up to more than 20 centimeters per year, this specific location. And we also mapping the seafloor, this area. So what we found is this is the seismic profile, and we put them together. We see the distribution of the Yangtze sediment on the sea. And so this is a kind of a longshore drifting model. And the Mekong, similarly, since 2006, we had 2 research crews, mainly in this Gulf of Thailand area, not much in the river mouth. And then 2014 and 15, we go back there with extensive study. But you may be surprised, why only this short section? Because the Mekong derived sediment is not really extended too much on the shelf. Actually stopped here, only about 20 kilometers from the shore. It's like this. It's mainly longshore dominated. So this is the pattern what we found. And when we study this, we also see there's a erosional trough, and the underwater portion of the delta also experiencing dramatic change now. And look at this is the Irrawaddy, and with in the Andaman Sea area. And as you can see, this is an American student working with the Myanmar. And so we found this is the river mouth. We said the sediment distribution like this. Then we are able to calculate how much sediment accumulated there during the Holocene, particularly the post-LGM of the sea level rose up. Even we found in the Bay of Bengal part, some sediment coming down to the west and even escape into the subduction trench. That's very interesting findings. And this is overall the distribution, the Holocene mud part of the Irrawaddy River. And Amazon, again, I like to talk Amazon, even I not really study this river. And look at the mud distribution. This is nothing new. This is since 1980s. We well studied the distribution of this mud. But the thickness and the total amount and the sink, the budget, is still not completely clear. Hopefully, we can do a similar kind of a longshore survey like what we did on the Mekong or Yangtze. So the model we come out, of course, is not only on near the river mouth, but also a longshore transport. And so now we're back to the Nile, about the shoreline. So this is a sediment we already talked about, and this is the shoreline dynamic change. As I mentioned, you can see from 1970, and the shoreline keep retreat, keep back eroded. And I visited that spot in here in the current river mouth here. And so based on those historical shoreline change, and we put this in artificial neural network model, and so we put into this, and also based on the each transition, each shoreline each this transition, and we have more than 500. And then we have the change period of the wave angle change, and wave period, swell height, sea level, subsidence, urban area, hard structure, all those multi-variants, and then put a neural network model. Then we try to predict how about the future in the shoreline and the shoreline longitude and latitude. And this is mainly of my master student, Muhammad Rish's work, his master thesis. Now the paper is under review. So as you can see, the prediction from to 2030, so we indicate this is the accretion, this overall still erosion, and then 2040, how much will in this area increase, where is a retreat, and then we can calculate the progression. So putting it together, we can see from 2030 compare 2022, And particularly if you look at this area on the Nile Delta, this area indicate 2050, this will open to the open ocean. That lake today, brackish or fresh, will become a salty, will become a pond or a sound is kind of like that. So that will be a dramatic ecosystem coastal management issues. I think that this kind of projection is very valuable. And so here, so more further, we able to verify the year 2020. In the past, this is how much gain, how much loss, but this is overall in 2025 what we found. And 25 years later, we will lost almost 20 square kilometers of the land continue. So that's very important. And this is the case study of the Yellow River Delta. In the Yellow River Delta, we use a little bit different approach. We use the popular UNet and ImageNet new AI model, and also the diffusion model. You combine this, as you can see, this is the ground truth 2020, 21, 22. And now this is based on this, we can predict 23, 24, and 25, how the shoreline change. Then we can do a little bit further. And of course, the more further we do, the accuracy will decrease. And this is, I think, also very, very interesting. And not only the shoreline, we also can try to do the land use, land cover change. For example, in the Mississippi River Delta. So here, I just want to show a little bit. And I use a 1-800. I use a 1-800 GPU and NVIDIA GPU. So it takes about 20 minutes for me to get the future land cover prediction, the model run. And I can find out what exactly the future predicted change. So each category you can see change. Some maybe not changes that much. Some area have a dramatic change. And we can compare, this is the 22, compare the future 25, and we can do a little bit, to see what exactly the location changed. And I think this is extremely important, particularly when we work on the habitat loss. So how about Amazon, how about estuary, how about national reserve location, how about the based on historical change, how about the future possible, is this forest will be there, shrub there, with the wetland changed, lagoon changed. I think they have a lot of collaboration project we can work on together. So let's move on. And the large language model, as Eduardo mentioned, last couple years after the pandemic, I focused on lots of time on the AI and the large language model. I offer the first cross-campus course, General AI for Science, graduate student level, last fall semester. And in May, 2 weeks ago, I just gave 4 days intensive training, the large language model application on science, how we can build the RAG and the agent. And this is our ocean GDP architecture, how we can combine our own data set, a large data set, and our own feeding knowledge, and build an agent as a tool, not only answer the Q&A, answer some question, but also provide the plotting and the map. So hopefully, so our colleague and we build that marine artificial intelligence and research aliens. And so I want to give a little bit demo, how this looks like. Hello, many of you have already used the ChatGPT, but if you ask ChatGPT a question like, how about the past sea level change in Boston, a very simple common question. As you can see, the JGP can generate a pretty good text, only the text, because it's a large language model. And so in order to solve this problem, how we can use the large language model used for oceanographic application. So we, as you can see here, I have a local model, and I create it and use the open source. So it's just fired up, and we can, do something, same question. If we ask here, everything is around this local laptop. And as you can see, if we ask the same question, and ChatGPT just a bunch of text message, as you can see here, is not only give us the text return based on the sea level report, NOAA to the released 2020, give a location and also the historical sea level change, and have a trend reach. That's exactly, is much more beyond the large language model can do for us. So how about even, even got how about the future? This is future sea level in 2050, something like in Miami, just something like this. So same question. If we ask if we ask the same question in ChatGPT, as you can see, it's pretty good. Sea level prediction, Miami, not bad. So, but you can see what we can do. This is run all the local machine. You can see all the local server. So you can see not only give all the reference and the nature communication and the general climate change, and also based on different scenario, IPCC temperature change, middle, low, high. So for example, if you can see 24 in New Orleans, just for example, something like this. And so, this just in New Orleans, we have a station, and we have sea level change, and the sea level reach, gosh, we even how about sea level change at we can just sea level change at Duck, maybe Duck, North Carolina, Duck. So you can very generic, and so have all the kind of question.
Okay, let me
see. I just want to show you a little bit more, and this is the world ocean data. So for example, we can ask something, how about the temperature and the salinity in Bay of Bengal in January, May, and September? As you can see above, the Bay of Bengal, and we have the salinity temperature. Now it looks like we can look at the surface. So how about from surface to 100 meters? And so you can see immediately it's changed to the different location. How about we can say something like how about Gulf of Mexico?
Now I change the Gulf of America.
Gulf of Mexico, cool. But we compare. How about can we compare? Let's see, compare Mexico and Middle Atlantic bight. Okay, let's just try. Let's just try 2 months. So, and as you can see immediately, boom, Gulf of Mexico, Mid-Atlantic bight, and the different depths, 100 meters. So we can do, sea level, and even about sea level change in Thailand. And Thailand, all the information come out, and we can do like a hurricane, or you can do a query. We can do CORFA.
Okay, so just to give a little bit taste, this is a really rapid evolving field.
And the geoscience, we really need, instead of scared, instead of push, that we need embrace, we need combined, so that we need looking forward, future. So we also can build in specific in the field, for example, fluvial river delta, a small language model specific in our domain. So this is also we can do. So in the last thing, I want to very quickly say about a little bit about the Greenland, because we talk about so many, or a lot of river, because the Greenland content is around 8%, maybe more sediment. And as you can see, the delta progression in 1980 in that specific field is up to 40 meters per year, then reach 100 meters per year at the rate. This is not a total amount. And then is 200 meters, but most recently even more than 300 meters per year progression. Because no surprising, there's a lot of ice melted down, sediment dumping here. So we flow there in specific this area, and as you can see how the turbid of the water, and we go able to see the how fast the retreat of the glacial, and then we see how the sediment accumulate on the riverbed. Look at that. Look at the sediment accumulate. Look at the small canyon that cut maybe a turbid flow, maybe hyperpycnal flow, and we still try to work on this. And look at this. Okay, and I will end it here. The key point to take away is, most of the Asia, not only world major river sediment flux have reduced 70 to 80%. Most of river delta to respond to that is used to be growing 30 meters per year, but now it's kind of retreat 10 to 30 meters per year. And not only the shoreline change, like Irrawaddy, there's many mangrove, also, have a dramatic subsidence, saltwater intrusion. And and for example, in Indus River Delta lost up to 300 square kilometers deltic land. And in the end, I think AI and machine learning could be a great way for us to understand the future change, particularly with the image-based future prediction. They will be much faster, and so can maybe help us understand the future coastal environment change or land use change. So I think I will stop here and see if you have any questions. Okay, thank you. I cannot hear you.
Thank you, Paul, for the incredible talk. I think that you have been providing all our audience with this global, basically, perspective of what is going on with the river, how much dangerous also this can be for our South American rivers after all this experience in Asia, and particularly also for introducing these new technologies to us. And what you say, we don't have to be afraid, maybe we have to embrace it, try to take advantage of this and not to be resistant, right? And you have been pioneering, like a pioneer working on these issues. Let's see, please, the audience, write your questions. So Professor Paul, you can answer you. So provide your question in the chat. He will be glad to answer your questions. Do we have questions? Okay, we have a question here by Luan Ferreira. Can you read it, Paul?
No, not really.
In the comments. Dr. Liu, what about the ethic of using these AIs? How can we see these apps in our work? For example, how can be managed?
Oh, that's a very good question. Traditionally, many of us use ArcGIS, ArcView, ArcGIS to download that kind of historical set of image and then it's a tremendous work. To be honest, sometimes it's a pain of ass, to process all those image georeference and do a spatial analysis and then do some shoreline or environment landscape change. But those is only help us understand the historical change pattern and not able for us to predict future. So, but now use the new AI model, particularly with the new vision image model, multimodal, because now all the AI model not only handle the language, the text consequential prediction, but also the image pattern and the prediction. So that's a powerful part. So when we see an image, for example, when we see a stock market or a temperature variation, human being immediately, based on the pattern, we can sense how the future change, right? But if we want to convert all those to a numerical model to prediction, that would be very, very hard. Now, with the new image and the vision model, we can use this based on the pattern, based on all the multivariate data, very quickly to do a future prediction, like a Google DeepMind. Google DeepMind based a similar diffusion or graphic forecast to predict the next 10 days weather. It's only spend 1 minute for the model to run. Compare the before, the NOAA model, European model, American model, take about several hours, to do a hurricane prediction. But now, just like this. So those haven't been really used in geographic or haven't been used in geology field. This is what we try to do. So I think in the future, geospatial analysis and the prediction can definitely take advantage of the AI machine learning.
Yeah. More questions? I got one, and we review a lot of papers for journals and so on, and we have more and more the papers that are based mainly on processing data than sustained by empirical data, right? We have a lot of people doing, I take a big database and I run it and get some conclusion and powerful statistics and so on. And how do you foresee that we are going to work with the spatial analysis? Because, for example, we have this, we have many people producing, we have to do this perspective for retreat or for the sea level change. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I see that the people forget that all these systems have an history behind. So they are physical system with history, and the mosaic that we see on the land also is part of that. And we have pretty poor maps and interpretation of how this evolves through time. And sometimes they produce this more like linear response. Okay, we are going to get this or that. Without consider all the process that formed this, how they still acting against this linear. Yeah,
exactly.
See that we can improve this model that you are building.
Yeah, my friend, you are 100% right. And all the process, particularly geographic environment or even coastal or river dynamic, is not linearly changed. And we can see a trend, we can see a pattern, but never really you can draw a line and do a simple prediction. Very impossible. And this is why they need a multivariant in the model, and also something we need to consider like an event, like a storm, and all human activity. All those is combined, put a neural network able to help us to predict the future. And this is a good part, but also a challenge part. And it's when we put multivariant, put a human, put an event there, that will become complex, right? Like a stock market looks like have a good pattern to follow, but actually it's almost impossible, you know. Yeah, something. But this definitely, as I said, you know, this is a good direction. And you can see 30 years ago, many people do a plot use Excel. I mean, simple, you know, Excel spreadsheet, and then gradually use MATLAB, and then there's more and more Python code, more and more fancy, and ArcGIS, right? So now with that AI tool available, and I even haven't talked about there's a Google and Earth engine to do the landscape land use prediction. Like I just give a very quick demo. This become very powerful. Before we try to do this and ArcGIS, gosh, you need a good computer. You need a lot of computing, take a long time. But now with the Google Engine server, the clouding computing free resources, and you can download the data over the Google server. You even do not need to download it to your local computer. And then you can do that spatial analysis over there. And then you just get the result. Now, not only we understand historical one, we can to predict the future possible, you know, that kind of the land use, the habitats change, like in Mississippi River Delta, as you know, my friend. So that's a dramatic change. Amazon is the same. If we can do similar that kind of project, that would be very. We can do some very interesting. How about future? You know, around the city, around the country. How about the fire? You know, Amazon basin. How this affect the environment? We can do all those kind of testing.
Yeah, no, fascinating. All the perspective. When we started to do the sediment concentration analysis for the Amazon, it was very, very difficult. What would you say? Manual work, thousands and thousands of images and so on. Now you with Google Engine and all this tool, you can run it. It's amazing how we can do things now. Tell me, another question I have is, what is your personal perspective? You have been working a lot in Asia, so. What is the perspective? Are they planning to build more dams? Is it more or less
well
the limit?
Yes.
What's going on?
You know that this is my friend, as you know, you are familiar also the Irrawaddy, and I just want to give you a couple scenario. The worst case, two worst river delta in Asia. One is the Indus River, one is the Mekong. And so in industry, of course, there's nothing really flow down. And Mekong, there's still river flow down, but the sediment is just trapped. And also the illegal sand mining also remove the sand from the delta. And so that is almost the two extreme case. There's no restoration possibility in a short term. And the Mekong, for example, now, I mean, the shoreline 30 meters per year retreat and saltwater intrusion subsidence. Even the river restore the sediment back to 100 million tons. This is almost impossible because all those dams already built and the new dam is coming. So the sediment river discharge will never really come back more than 30 or 40 million tons. So the Mekong River Delta will even get worse and worse. I feel very sad, you know, in that situation. And so Indus River similar, but this is a thing we want to say to the Irrawaddy. Irrawaddy River, at so far, the dam is not that bad. And river still keep sending sediment down. But even the river still discharge the similar amount of sediment, but the delta already slowed down or even begin to retreat. It's not bad. But now over the delta, you know, almost 80% mangrove lost. And this is one of the reasons 2008 during the Hurricane Hagis, that Cyclone Hagis, it's killed 138,000 people. It's devastating over there. The message we want to say, like Amazon is similar. If we don't act now, if we don't lay a lesson from the other river delta, that river will situation become worse. The Mississippi River similar. Mississippi River, sediment from 500 to now is only 100 million tons. And if Amazon keep building those dams, keep the sediment to reduce, I'm pretty sure the Amazon shoreline will 30 meters per year, similar like the couple spots I show. There may be more. I try to set a publication, and there should be have more soil study, So this is, I think, the work we study on the Mekong, Indus, and the Yangtze, other delta, hopefully can become a good lesson for those who haven't really changed that much, like Irrawaddy. And so like Amazon can compare the Yangtze, can compare to the Mississippi River, can compare to the Mekong. That's the situation.
Yeah. That's the reason also I was very interested in having your talk and showing this global perspective, because we have a lot of people here attending our seminars, professors, people from the private sector. I saw some of them here in the audience. Well, they're going to influence decision makers, right?
Right.
So we work for that. We try to do that. It's a pretty sad perspective for rivers worldwide.
Yeah,
we're still having the most interesting and kind of pristine, free flow rivers in the planet. So we have to preserve it.
And thank you for your effort. I think this global river in anthropology talk series is serving very well. Just like my talk and many other talks. So working together will make our student, our colleague, or even our officials in the government get a big picture. And with this global perspective, then we can bring to local issues. So if we only look at the local issues, we just cover our eyes with one piece of the leaf, and we cannot see the whole forest.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Paul,
for this great opportunity.
Thank you very much. And you have to rest after this long flight.
No, when I talk to you, I get very excited.
Well, thank you to everybody for attending this fantastic talk. We expect also having all of you in the next one. They're going to be probably to happen in June. And thank you, Paul, again for all your contribution.
Thank you, my friend. I hope I meet you in somewhere soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.